All disease begins in the gut. This statement was touted by Hippocrates over 2,000 years ago. And today, his ancient words echo in many of the treatment rooms of modern integrative and functional medicine physicians. Was he and are they right? Today, I want to talk to you about staying young at gut. I want to look at a naturopathic and functional medicine approach to 8 common digestive disorders that occur with aging. But before we do that, I want to tell you exactly why we need to focus on the gut to stay young at heart as well as gut, and to help us stay healthy in general as the years progress. I'm Dr. Sarah, and this is my video that you can also find the accompanying resources and the article to in the link in the video description. There's also a bunch of additional resources for you to check out, so make sure you do that as well. Okay, so the world's population is aging at a faster pace, and it's becoming obvious that our attempts to prevent wrinkles and manage other progressive physical changes is not influencing our health span. In fact, our current approach to medicine, which is really just managing diseases, isn't resulting in healthier people. It's actually decreasing our lifespan. So previously in another video as well as article, I discussed the issues with handling sickness, otherwise known as sick care, versus optimizing wellness. What's happening in our nation in America is that although we're spending a lot of our gross national product on healthcare, our results are dismal. And we're lacking a systematic approach to the root cause of why the body and mind can deteriorate in the first place. So we need a more effective, holistic medical solution to address what can be done to support ourselves as we advance in our years. Wouldn't you rather live your years more vibrantly and healthily versus playing whack-a-mole with symptom management? That's exactly what's going on for a lot of the clients that come to me when they say they're taking this drug for this and then this drug for this side effect, and they still feel miserable. So now let's enter to the topic of the gut, why we should pay attention to our gut health as we age and what this has to do with this whole overall approach of optimizing wellness versus continuing on this crazy cycle of insanely whack-a-moling different symptoms. All right, the more that researchers discover the role of our gut microbiome on our physical and psychological states, the more conventional medicine is believing that Hippocrates was indeed correct. Our digestive health is key for maintaining overall wellness, resiliency, and a positive mood. In fact, our gastrointestinal tract supports not only our assimilation and absorption of nutrients or the excretion of wastes, but it also contains over 70% of our immune cells. It produces 90% of our serotonin. It makes various neurochemicals. It helps regulate hormone excretion. It communicates with our brain to help supervise many bodily processes through the gut-brain axis. So this can also help with inflammation, immune modulation, as well as calming the whole state of someone through the vagus nerve, which is a nerve that runs all the way from the bottom of your belly all the way to different branches throughout your whole body. And yes, the gut even impacts the skin, which brings us back to the superficial, literally the superficial on the outside aspects of aging, wrinkles, etc. So one of our main focuses on aging gracefully should probably be on how to keep our guts in tip-top shape. Do you see where I'm coming from? So let's go over 8 common digestive issues that occur with aging. And then I'm going to provide a summary of personalized naturopathic and functional medicine approaches to help reduce the symptoms, optimize gut health. And if we start with some of the root causes, which is where the dysfunction lies, then we can have more healthy and more vibrant aging as we move on through our later years. Now, having knowledge of these conditions isn't just for people who are older, so you youngins can also stay tuned, because all of these steps that I'm going to go through can be taken at any age. And it's good to have an overview of knowledge of maybe you're getting symptoms early and how you can intervene. There's a saying that an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And I think you'll agree that it's a lot easier to stop something from starting than kind of, once it's gotten going, to backpedal and make it a little bit better. So what are the 8 common digestive disorders that occur with aging? And I just want to take a moment and thank Fupa Health, because this article and video is extracted from an article I published from them. So you kind of have 2 versions, one on my website, as well as the original version that goes into a little more of the mechanisms and science behind these different illnesses or these disorders of the gut. So make sure you check them both out in your spare time. All right, the first one is probably the most common, is constipation. And most people know what constipation is. They are not having regular bowel movements. It's uncomfortable, and it can be caused by many different factors. There's functional or primary constipation, which clarifies that the main medical issue is constipation itself. And then there's secondary causes of constipation. Now, primary constipation includes normal transit constipation, slow transit constipation, and outlet constipation, which is a blockage. So it's just different ways of saying that someone can have problems with their bowel movements related to things are normal as far as moving in the correct speed through their gut, but they're still not going to the bathroom, or the speed of their gut isn't effective enough to push out the bowel movements, or there's a blockage somewhere. Okay. So some of the main causes of constipation include metabolic and endocrine issues, such as the thyroid issue. Lack of fluid. Hydration is one of the #1 causes of constipation, or at least one of the main contributors, especially in the elderly, and it also is related to headaches. So make sure you're drinking enough of clean filtered water. Alcohol can cause constipation, certain medications can. Nervous system imbalances, either through a neurological disorder as well as a neurological problem in the gut nervous system. We have a gut nervous system as well, can be part of constipation issues. Immune-mediated disorders. Remember, our gut is home to our immune system. So if there's inflammation down there in the gut, that can cause constipation. A lack of activity or dietary factors can all contribute to constipation. So that's our first common digestive issue that occurs with aging. And then our second one is just slower digestion in general. So in general, it's common for digestion to slow with aging because the digestive tract muscles tend to slow down, mostly in the stomach and the colon, not so much the small intestine. And also, as people age, they have more problems with chewing and reduced physical activity, and they might, even if they haven't been taking care of themselves or through other interactions of environment, be frail. So this can cause slower digestion. So a lot of times the underlying issue could be the impaired smooth muscle contractions, that nervous system deregulation, and compromised cells that secrete digestive enzymes and regulate motility. So we have constipation, slower digestion. Another common issue is lower stomach acid. So otherwise known as hydrochloric acid, or HCl. This is something that aids in the digestion of protein and the absorption of nutrients. And it's often believed that as one ages, the HCl levels go down, but this isn't necessarily true. When I looked at the research, actually one review found that stomach acid secretion was not affected or actually increased in the elderly. What they did find is the risk factors and conditions associated with lower HCl were higher. So this includes H. pylori, which is Helicobacter pylori, which is an infectious agent in the stomach, and atrophic gastritis, which is inflammation of the stomach. That can be the cause of lower stomach acid in the elderly. So again, we want to look at, I'll get into this later, you want to address the root cause, right? So if you're giving someone that appears to have lower stomach acid symptoms hydrochloric acid and they're not getting better, it could be because it's actually from an infection, or from an inflammation in their stomach, and it actually could be making it worse. So you just want to make sure you're getting to the root cause. So besides aging, some of the actual causes of lower stomach acid can be stress. Stress stops our digestive process. Vitamin deficiencies, you need certain vitamins to make HCl. Medications can interfere with the nutrients needed to make it. Stomach surgery, these are all risk factors for lower stomach acid. There's also lower digestive enzyme production. So outside of the stomach, you have your pancreas and other parts of your digestive tract that help with secretions to help with protein digestion. Pepsin is actually in the stomach. That tends to decline after 70 years. And then studies also show that after 65 years of age, there's a reduced bicarbonate and enzyme secretions, the lipase, chymotrypsin, and amylase. So these lack of enzymes can lead to malnutrition, compromised digestion, and other health consequences. And that's kind of just something that occurs with age. Heartburn or GERD, gastrointestinal reflux disease, can be more common in adults. As we get older, it can be more frequent. Risk factors include certain medications. So the more medication someone is on, the more likely they'll have GERD. Impaired motility, we talked about a little bit. Hiatal hernias, which is the where the intestine is actually causing coming up through different areas of, bulging through different areas it shouldn't be. Decreased saliva and bicarbonate production can cause heartburn. Again, that's from that lower production as one ages. Lower stomach acid, we talked about that. Weight changes and reduced pressure on the valve between the esophagus and stomach can cause heartburn. Now, polyps are something that is an increased risk as people age, and these are small growths in the colon. They're often painless. They're often found routinely in colonoscopies or regular screening. And the progression to cancer is often prevented by just their removal. There's no real consensus on the underlying causes of polyps, but a lot of people feel it's related to age-related changes in the gut. So this includes the fact that in aging, there's likely an accumulation of cells in the GI tract with an imbalance of the breakdown. Your gut cells actually repopulate and also break down rather quickly. And with aging, that tends to slow down, and there also occurs an altered mucosal immune response. So the immune response at the level of the gastrointestinal tract is lower as one ages, which can increase the risk for polyps. Ulcers are perforations of the stomach that bleed, and they are also more common as we age. And risk factors include reduction of those acid productive compounds in the stomach we talked about, increased prevalence of H. pylori infections, gut motility changes again, altering gastrointestinal hormones, psychological and social stressors, and non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. Those actually work on an enzyme that actually stops the formation of a protective lining for the gut. And so more people, you can get more bleeding and gastrointestinal distress with increased use of those medications at any age. All right, so now we're on to the eighth and final common issue as one ages, and that is the microbiome imbalance. So these little belly bugs that live in our digestive tract that coincide and communicate with our actual human cells and are likely to either overpopulate them or be as many as the cells in our body, but definitely have more DNA and have a lot of effect on our overall health. They can become imbalanced with age. And it can be through environmental issues, dietary factors, lifestyle factors, digestive disorders in general, kind of chicken and the egg thing. But starting in mid to late adulthood, microbial populations will shift. And as time passes, the guts become increasingly personalized to the individual. But it can also be a determination of one's health span. So they've done some studies that show the ratio of microbiota in the elderly is correlated to measures of fertility, their risk for diseases, their nutritional status, and their inflammatory responses. And there's also evidence of less production of these beneficial compounds, the metabolites of these microbiota produce, called short chain fatty acid production. And as a result, sometimes more opportunistic or pro-inflammatory bacteria can populate into the gut as one ages. Interestingly, there's also been changes with older women, and it could be related to sex hormone shifts as older women age and enter menopause. It kind of looks more like men's gut microbiome, and I'm talking about biological men and women. So we have microbiome changes, ulcers, polyps, heartburn, lower digestive enzyme production, lower stomach acid, slower digestion, and of course, constipation. Now, what do we do about them? Well, first of all, there are different tests that we can run, and it's really important to get the proper diagnostic labs done if you've been struggling with digestive health and you don't know what's underlying them. And even functional labs are great, but you also have to get some conventional imaging that's important to get, as well as some basic labs can be helpful, such as looking at a complete blood chemistry, white blood cell count to look for any infections, and hemoglobin A1C. That is a blood sugar measure, as well as blood glucose. Your blood chemistry kind of tells all of the electrolyte balances, as well as kidney function, liver function. All of that is important to assess if there's any underlying issues going on that are kind of red flags that contribute to digestive problems or malabsorption. Other tests doctors might run are a thyroid panel or different metabolic panels to rule out an endocrine issue causing constipation or other digestive issues. They might run an iron panel because they want to see if someone might have an ulcer, is bleeding, or there's internal bleeding. They might run immune or different inflammatory markers. So these are all basic things that probably should be done first. You want to always check for horses before you find zebras in someone. It's an expression in medicine to rule out some of the most common things first. Again, there's imaging and testing. We think of colonoscopies, we think of upper GI endoscopies. So you want to look at these different things. You can bring in functional markers too, which are, I think, if someone's been having chronic digestive health issues, you might want to talk to your doctor about a comprehensive stool test if you're not getting anywhere with some of the basics. And these offer a complete look at gut health. They measure pathogens, they analyze digestive markers, nutrient absorption, inflammation, immune function, be very helpful with different types of inflammatory issues or narrowing in on specific pathogens, as well as inflammatory mediators and digestive enzyme secretions, and kind of help personalize which specific enzymes someone might be lacking. You can run a small intestinal bacterial overgrowth test, H. pylori test, additional pathogen test to help diagnose infections. So once you know something's kind of going on, you want the basic tests, you might want these dysbiosis or microbiome balancing tests to run as well. And then once you know what's going on, you can do personalized approaches in naturopathic and functional medicine support for these 8 common digestive disorders. So some of the things to treat constipation could be, of course, getting enough water, nutrition, supplements, fiber. Probiotics have been correlated to better bowel movements, as well as prebiotics that feed those probiotics, combination called symbiotics, and then exercise. For digestive enzyme support, you want to address the root cause. Again, if someone has low HCl, we don't know if it's from an infection. We don't know if it's from chronic inflammation in the stomach. So rule that out first, and then consider replacement with digestive enzymes. You can get them from your integrative healthcare provider. Again, make sure you're getting good quality and you're not just getting it off of some internet store where we don't know what's in the bottle, but that's actually tested and third-party validated. You want to check if someone needs, why they need digestive enzyme support. If they have malabsorption in their gut, do they need iron? Do they need zinc? Do they need B vitamins? Are they under a lot of stress? These are all things we want to consider. H. pylori treatment is commonly treated with either antibiotics or herbal and supplemental antibacterials. And some docs use high dose probiotics to drive out the overgrowth of harmful bacteria as well. Gastrointestinal reflux disease, or GERD. Certain foods might initially aggravate GERD, and a doctor might ask you to stop initially to avoid these foods just to prevent continued aggravation as you address the root cause. So things such as alcohol, high-fat foods, chocolate, mint, acidic foods, and caffeine, all the fun stuff, can be contributing to the GERD. There's also specific herbs called demulcents, and those can be very soothing to any irritated tissue, including stomach tissue or gastrointestinal lining. Licorice and slippery elm are examples of these. Some people drink slippery elm tea. They might have heard of that. They also have some evidence for addressing GERD symptoms, as well as the hormone melatonin has a lot of functions beyond sleep, people. Immune, digestive, hormone, stress modulating, all of these different factors for melatonin. So that can be helpful for some digestive distress as well. Polyps, the best thing to do is just have them removed, but also do the lifestyle things that promote a healthy microbiome to prevent them in the first place. Let's talk about that next. Speaking of microbiome support, you can do things such as implementing into your diet fermented foods like yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut. Careful if you have histamine sensitivity, because those are histamine releasing or producers. You can eat polyphenol-rich foods, which feed the microbiota. These are things such as cocoa, green tea, coffee, fruits, veggies contain polyphenols. Fiber can be helpful. Too much fiber can also aggravate some conditions, so just be mindful of that. Probiotics, specifically lactobacillus and bifidobacterium, can help. Lifestyle changes such as sleep, stress reduction, and exercise are all basic things to keep your digestive health healthy and strong. So you can see that if you're focusing on digestive support, you're also implementing kind of systemic whole body overall lifestyle support. So it's kind of cool because everything is connected. And then, of course, with aging, you want to get into why other things are imbalanced. I'm not saying just focus on the gut, but again, this is one area to look at that I think is a general foundation, because it literally will affect everything else, and you can't really address everything else until your gut microbiome and all of the other intervening factors are out of the way. All right. And then one thing I didn't mention in the article I wrote for Rupa, but I want to mention here, and I mentioned in my article, are essential oils, because they have many properties to support digestion. They are antimicrobial, they are anti-inflammatory, they are antioxidants, which can alleviate cellular stress. They are soothing to the mucosa, and they benefit the mind-body connection. So we have that stress response, right? Some of my favorites are peppermint, frankincense and myrrh, cardamom, oregano and thyme, if we think antimicrobial, ginger, fennel, juniper, tarragon, and copaiba, which helps endocannabinoids and pain, discomfort. Essential oils have also been shown to be beneficial to the microbiome. So there's evidence pointing that even though they're antimicrobial, I know some people disagree, but the science isn't really showing that they're killing the good guys. It's actually showing they're quite selective, in fact. And in some animal studies, as well as in vitro, they have actually been shown to actually help not only support beneficial bacteria, but also help in the balance of getting rid of the bad guys and keeping the good guys around. So digestive disorders are a common malady, and they occur more frequently as we age. We can do things to address what can cause our digestive tract to age and also impact our overall health and vitality through the years. And we went over some of the 8 common digestive disorders, as well as how we could incorporate dietary, lifestyle, herbal, essential oils, and supplements to address contributors to keep ourselves young at gut. I would love to hear your comment and feedback on this video if you think it was helpful. And I would also love for you to check out the resources that are available in the video description, as well as on my website. I offer free courses for both practitioners as well as for consumers. And I also do essential oil consults if you're already working with an integrative doc, but you're kind of addressing the root cause and want to see where essential oils work. Come in. So be sure to check that out. I thank you for your time and your patience in learning about naturopathic and functional medicine and how to stay young at gut. And I hope that you have a wonderful day or night whenever you are watching this. Take good care.